ह्रीश्च ते लक्ष्मीश्च पत्न्यो अहोरात्रे पार्श्वे नक्षत्राणि रूपम् अश्विनौ व्यात्तम् इष्टं मनिषाण अमुं मनिषाण सर्वं मनिषाण ओम शांति शांति शांति. So this is the last verse of the Purusha Suktam. So the word there is Manishana. In the English transliteration, it is somewhere it is Anishana. The breakup is not right. Manishana. Manishana means desire. Desire or conviction. So you know this Panchakam called Manisha Panchakam by Adi Shankara. Manisha Panchakam. So that there he uses the term in the form of conviction. So this is the last verse is a prayer. Ishtam Manishana. Whatever is my desire, my own desire. So this desire, that desire, all desires. Sarvam Manishana. Ishtam, whatever you like, may those desires be fulfilled. Amum Manishana. Amum means Amum is actually Kalpaka, correct me if I'm wrong. Amum, I think, is the Asau. Asau's Dvitiya Vibhakti. Second Vibhakti of Asau.
இது வேதிக் பிரயோகம் நினைக்கிறேன். தெரியல, I have not come across this one.
Asau, see the Vibhaktis of Asau. So Asau means that or in the second case, Vivachana maybe. So I think Amum is so, but basically that may that be fulfilled, may all the desires be fulfilled, may everything be fulfilled. Sarvam Manishana. So this is where you are ending the verse, but what is interesting about Purusha Suktam is it ends with a verse asking for all desires to be fulfilled, but it's also throughout the whole Sukta, it is describing describing what is Purusha and how one should perceive. So by the time we are coming to this place, honestly, we shouldn't have any specific desires of any kind. Because when you say Sarvam Manishana, all desires may be fulfilled, the danger there is you we and this is something that we always ask for. May all my desires be vanchita phalam apnoti, sarvan labhate, vanchita phalam apnoti. May I desire, may I get everything that I desire for. And the biggest problem in literally taking it that way is that we end up harming ourselves in many ways. Many ways we harm ourselves because the desire that you have may not be the right desire for you. Who is evaluating if the desire that I carry right now, because your desires can come from various impressions that we carry from many lifetimes, right? Now, is there a particular filtering that we do? Do we run a certain filter to say that, okay, these desires are worth having, these desires are not worth having? We usually don't. Because sometimes the desires, the influence and the avesham or the prabhava of the desire can be so much that you would not have sufficient capability to discern the desires and say that, okay, this I'm going to follow, this I'm not going to follow. And something comes with a certain influence and prabhava, desire, you are driven by it. And what we do is, when the desire is so strong, we go and pray that may the desire be fulfilled. And the risk in that is the desire that arises in us, if it gets fulfilled, it may cause further harm. It may either cause harm, maybe it will give you a sense of accomplishment that the desire is fulfilled. But the harm it may cause is, it may instill further impressions. It may create more impressions within us. It may create furthermore, sorry, it may create further more, it may um, um, make it even more difficult for us, particularly for a spiritual sadhaka. Somebody who has come to this line of spiritual sadhana and realized that there is sufficient, um, there is there's sufficient merit in following this, right? I've decided, I've made the sankalpa that I want to make this spiritual pursuit as an endeavor or a pursuit in my life. Somebody who's come to this point, which is why this verse is that when you're coming to the last verse of Purusha Sukta, which means one has gone through the rest of the verses. And rest of the verses, you have seen how the Purusha is very beautifully explained. And not something on the outside, but something that is as a personification of this conscious principle, super conscious principle on the outside, but also the operating principle in the inside. This this particular relationship has been shown beautifully. Now, after that, if we go back to our ways of trying to look to satisfy our desires, then we are stuck in a cycle. Which cycle? The cycle that Bhaja Govindam sings, right? Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, Punarapi Jathare. Punarapi Jathare.
पुनरपि जननं पुनरपि मरणं पुनरपि जननी जठरे
जठरे
शयनं
शयनम्
Punarapi
इह
Janani.
संसार.
So this cycle you keep repeating. Why? Because we go through all of this. We say, oh, Narayana is my only refuge. We say Devi is my mother, is my only refuge. Or Shivosmyaham. We say all of that. And then when it comes at the end of it, we close the whole thing with saying that give me all that I desire. In fact, um, our prayers, of course, in one way, it is important to clear off your desires. So when we are actually asking, so the way this Ishtam Manishana, Amum Manishana, Sarvam Manishana, the way it needs to be interpreted for our sake is that may all these desires that I have, you help resolve it. Fulfilling, see, where is fulfillment? Fulfillment is still within us. So if a particular desire drops, does it mean it's fulfilled? Yes. So desire dropping is also an outcome of resolving a desire. So the desire can get fulfilled by actually whatever you need, what is your desire, that happens is the resolution of a desire. But the desire itself going away is also the resolution of the desire. So when the influence of the desire is so much, our prayer should be that, oh Bhagavan, resolve the desire for me. May I experience fulfillment. and we let go in our mind. The issue that happens is a lot of times, even though the desire gets resolved, it doesn't, we don't get fulfillment, because we have fixed in our mind that only when the desire resolves in this way, then it is fulfillment. So we've created a certain formula saying, if this desire gets fulfilled or resolves in this way, then I will experience fulfillment. So then it becomes very difficult for us to get to that place of contentment and fulfillment soon. And that linger is always there. So, what is the Rishi painting here? He's painting a picture of this Purusha. He's saying, Rishchate Lakshmi Patnyo. So, you are surrounded by Hrihi, Hri Devi and Lakshmi Devi. They are your Hri Devi and Shri Devi. Lakshmi Devi, they are your Patni, which means you have auspiciousness, which is Lakshmi or Shrihi, and Hrihi. Hri in this case um, is described as Karuna, compassion, humility, right? Getting fulfilled. See, you may have Shri, but if Hri, which is the sense of fulfillment or humility, does not occur, then how much ever Shri you have, it will never suffice. How much is enough? How much is enough is something that we have to think for ourselves. We will never know how much is enough of anything, whether it is physical well, it is economical needs, physical needs, emotional needs, any form of needs that you have, you will never know when it is enough. You may get tired of it, of abuse. But then again, when you're out of the fatigue, you may want it again, because you'll never know when something is really enough. Porum, porum. And the porungarda is that porum feeling is not by the lips. It is something that has to come from a place within us where your whole being displays that, yes, when I look at this person, he is in a state of porum. Like the story of Jada Bharata in Bhagavatam. I can never tire telling the story of Jada Bharata. It is so beautiful, right? How this King Bharata becomes a deer in the following Janma because of the attachment to a deer at the time of death. And then as a deer, it remembers the previous Janma and is very careful. And then it is born as a human. His name is Bharata again. But because he becomes pretty much very careful in the way he is, he almost lives like a Jada. So then he is called Jada Bharata, Jada Bharata. And this Bharata is so careful that he does not want to slip back. So this porum feeling is that porum feeling should be when it actually happens to us. When you're saying we don't know when something is enough, when Shrihi is enough, what kind of opulence is sufficient for you? Mental opulence, physical opulence, economic opulence, financial opulence, material opulence. What kind of opulence will ever feel that we will feel that this is enough? You can always go in two directions. You can always go in multiple directions, right? At this point, I can say I'm burning with ambition to do what? To do this next thing, to do the 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 next thing. And that ambition to do the next thing is for what? Because I feel empty inside. When you do the next thing, which is a spilling out of the joy that is inside here, when it is out of that, when I do the next thing, it is very different. You'll experience that the doing next thing has no consequence on you. You will do whatever you need to do, you feel like doing, you desire like doing, you'll do and you'll move away. But when it is empty here, doing the next thing, we want that next thing to fill this here emptiness. That next thing that we want us to be filled with that. And then we get some little bit of joy and little bit of santosha, and then we move, then we say again we feel empty here and go to the next thing, the next thing. Consume, consume. This is like a bottomless pit inside. We don't know when it will get fulfilled at all. And imagine the plight when our whole life goes on like this. Because something.
நான் நான் தான் யூஸ் டு வண்டர் குருஜி. நம்ம வந்து ப்ரேயரில் வந்து நிறைய கேட்குறோம். ஏன் நம்ம கேட்குறோம்? நம்ம விடணும்னு ஒரு ஒரு ஸ்திதி வரும்போது ஏன் இன்னும் கேட்டுருக்கோம் அப்படின்ட்டு. ஸோ ஐ யூஸ் டு வண்டர் வை மோஸ்ட் தீஸ் ப்ரேயர்ஸ் ஆர் asking for more things. Again, the fulfillment of Bhagavan is like a ghee again. Is going to add, is never going to, material desire is never going to get fulfilled as long as you keep feeding it. Only when you stop feeding it, இல்லையா, அது இதுவாக போகுது. அப்போ அப்படி இருக்கும்போது நம்மளுக்கு இந்த ப்ரேயர்ஸ் எல்லாம் வந்து இட்ஸ் ஆஸ்கிங் ஃபார் மோர் மோர் அண்ட் மோர் திங்ஸ். அதான் ஐ ஜஸ்ட் வண்டர் குருஜி, நீங்க அதான் சொல்லிட்டு வர.
Correct. Gayatri ma?
Thank you, Sundar Mama, for bringing up this question. But now the problem I am having is, எதுவும் கேட்க வேண்டாம்னு விட்டாலும் நீ எதுவும் கேட்காதனாலதான் பகவான் தரல, அவனுக்கு குடும்பத்து மேல அக்கறை இல்லைன்னு சொல்லிடுறான். அப்ப அதை எப்படி ஹேண்டில் பண்றது?
So which is where, good point. So the point is, which is why I mentioned saying the way this has to be interpreted. Ishtam manishana, amum manishana, sarvam manishana. May all those desires be resolved. Understand this, is we are talking about, we said sarva vanchita phalam apnoti. May all the desires, may I receive the fruits of all the desires. See, remember, what is it that we are seeking when we are desiring something? You can go ahead and desire any damn thing in the world. Just go ahead and blindly desire for it. That's not the problem. The desiring of something is not what causes us the angst or the suffering. Because it's natural. Kameshwara, Kameshwari. Kama is the source of creation is Kama. You are born today is because of Kama. Because of Kama, because of desire, male and a female came together and we are born. Now, immediately we cannot say that this whole thing is a papa. Papa Janmang, Papa, you can't declare it as Papa. It is also an opportunity. This life, this life is also seen as an opportunity. Opportunity for what? Opportunity to liberate from these conditions that you are in, one of which is desire also. Now, when your desire is not a problem, when desire becomes conditioning, Conditioned desire is an issue. What are we seeking essentially? We are seeking the fulfillment or the joy that comes out of desire. Look at the way our mind works. The joy that comes out of the fulfillment of a desire, vanchita phalam apnoti. Vanchita phalam, the phalam or the fruit of the fulfillment of the desire is what we are seeking. Now, how does it come that fulfillment is here? Now, how does that fulfillment come? Why do we care? Because we are not, we the object of desire is so important for us that only when the fulfillment occurs, or sorry, the outcome occurs in a certain way, we associate that the outcome of the desire. Say for example, I want I want somebody to care for me. I want someone to if I have a desire that I want a particular, and we all experience this, right? I want a particular kind of a vehicle or a car. Now look at the way the thing works within us. I want that car, and it is a deep desire. I pray for it, I want it, I obtain it. Now, does the car continue to give the same satisfaction that it gave me when I desired for it and I asked for it and I got it? I got it now and I want a Tesla, right? Maybe I want the best car that's possible. And just using Tesla as an example, it may not be the best car, okay? But if I do that and I obtain it, there is this joy that is there inside, right? Now, the problem that happens is the joy that you experience inside, we associate that joy with the obtaining of the Tesla. And we have trained our mind that way. Do we sit down and after we've got this, suppose the Tesla has come or the car has come and parked in my lot, and I feel absolutely fulfilled, that my desire, I have 10 years, I've worked, I've saved, I've done all of that. It's a great achievement because I've been able to obtain this. I keep that in my parking lot. Do I come inside and sit and think, now this is the joy that is welling up? What is the source of that joy? We don't do that. We instantaneously associate that source that is welling up to the car. So the next moment a scratch happens on the car, this joy is gone. Right? If a child rides a skate beside your car, you may be sitting in the prayer room here and your car may be in the parking lot, but your body and your mind is extended till the car. Who am I now? If you actually sit and investigate, who am I? I am this plus the car. Because I am so aware now, if anything happens to car, correct mood na, did I put the cover? Did I zip this thing? What if some child, every day I see that child going around there, what if accidentally bumps into the car? Now
ஒன்னு
you
ரெண்டு வாட்டி விட்டுடுவோம் அண்ணா கண்ணு பட்டுக்கிட்டு அது
huh?
மாதிரி பண்ணு ஒன்னு ரெண்டு வாட்டி விட்டுடுவோம் கண்ணு பட்டுடுதுன்னு கொஞ்சம் இருக்கட்டும்.
But that is the justification we give ourselves because you can't do anything about it, right?
Yeah, correct.
But imagine it bothers you. You look for a justification to that, but the point here is it bothers you. Now, give it 6 months' time, or 1 year time, or maybe 2 years, whatever period of time that you think that you're going to hold on to that feeling of joy and pride and absolute fulfillment. How long will it last? It will last till you use up the car in whatever way possible, or you suddenly realize after you bought, probably at the same price, there was an excellent car that got released just then and you missed it. Half the time you'll be thinking, bad timing, just missed it. And then you'll be justifying to yourself, saying it's okay, maybe this is what I meant to, and all of that. But your mind will suddenly look at yourself, the impact and that rasa of that fulfillment will go a few notches low, just because now you've realized that there's another car that's better, probably for the same price, and you missed it by a week or a few days,
And my neighbor has got it.
and it's standing right in front of me. Now, when this happens, the example is just to illustrate that how the mind functions, and this happens in everything. Whether you're a spiritual sadhaka or a person who is busy making two ends meet, making his ends meet, for everyone, this is the way the mind functions. And when we're saying, I want to now go to God, go to a temple and seek for fulfillment of my desires, we have not even evaluated our desires in the first place. Is it worth having that desire? Is it the right desire? Is it as my own desire, or is it a desire for my family? For whose well-being is this desire for? Whose well-being is this desire for? And this, correct, Srividya is saying, lower your desire for perishable things and keep your desire for the higher. And this is what Vivekananda says, the only desire that is worth having is the desire for God. So we can't kill desires entirely, we only redirect them. Like I've told you about Gita Govinda. The whole Gita Govinda by Jayadeva is a description of Radha's love for Krishna, and she goes through the pangs of love. She is completely devastated. She's crying. She's looking at Krishna playing with other gopis, and she's feeling jealousy. She's feeling anger. At some point, she hates him. All of those emotions happen, but for whom? For Krishna. Can the same emotions that I have, the Navarasas, the emotions that I have, can it be redirected to that one entity, one Ishta? Then then you say, may my desires be fulfilled. Why? Now your desire is what? Krishna. My desire is what? Narayana. My desire is Ambal, Devi. Which is why you look at the desires being fulfilled is after the shloka, in which your mind, the Rishi clearly establishes what you need to associate yourself with. You create that ideal, you create that highest desire that is worth having. You establish that, which is what through the whole Purusha Suktam, the Rishi is establishing where you need to place your desire. And then you say, may that desire be fulfilled. When he says, Sarvam Manishana, what else is there? My only desire is to be at the feet of the Lord. So the issue is not with desire, the issue is with where we place that desire. If you place the desire in the fulfillment of a car, then you ought to be going through the cycle of suffering. If it's placed on a house, if it's placed on your child, your husband, your wife, your whatever people that you have, your work, or the image that you carry in society, the popularity that you're looking for, if you place it in all of this, merely by them being temporary in themselves. See, the problem is not with you placing a desire. The problem is the object on which you're placing is temporary in themselves. When you place it on something which is temporary and then you say fulfill, that object is moved since you place the desire on it. I have so much attachment on my child, right? And when I'm wanting that, through that attachment, what am I seeking? I'm seeking love, I'm seeking whatever. So when the child was small with me, it gave me all that. But then when the child grows up, if I retain the same desire and attachment, the child has moved. Abhiyum Nanum Appadinu, there is a movie by Prakash Raj. Beautiful movie. Get an opportunity to watch it.
அதான் சொல்லுவான். அதாவது அவ வளர்ந்துட்டா நான் வளராமே இருந்துட்டேன்னு அவன்.
That is the final
நான் வளராமே இருந்துட்டேன்னு அவன்.
that is the final statement he'll make. Prakash Raj. He says she grew. So the parent and child relationship is very, very beautiful. And this is why this is there. In our lives also, you have this parent-child relationship is so that you look at yourself in this way. Your child is the greatest tool that teaches you detachment. Although the child is the tool that becomes your attachment. Rather, the child becomes your source of attachment. It's the greatest tool for a spiritual sadhaka, greatest tool to see the child as your tool for detachment also. Like in that movie, he'll tell that what I missed, because you're so attached to the child, the girl child, from the start, and a lot of things will happen, and the child will then go to school, then college, and then she'll love a boy, and then he'll be a North Indian, and then she'll force marry him. I mean, the father will be unhappy through all of these stages of the child. After the child kind of starts growing up, right? When the child doesn't come and cling on to the father, from that stage on, the father is unhappy in whatever the child is doing, because the child is becoming independent more and more. And so when he's narrating the story to Prithviraj, the other actor, he says what he realized is that the child grew, but I didn't grow. I remained where I was when she was a child, but she grew. Now, what has happened here? The object of your desire, the object that you are putting your desire on for your fulfillment, moves. Why? Because it's temporary. Right? That is temporary. It will keep moving. But if you put your desire on the Purusha, as described in the Purusha Suktam, on Narayana, on Krishna, on Devi, if you put your desire on that, because that has been there. Agastya Maharishi got Lalita Sahasranama, God knows how many thousands of years ago. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, they existed about 5,000, 8,000 years ago. So in our perception, a lot of these things have lived for a very long time. Even if we think that these also perish, but they lived for a very long time. And there are experiences of saints and sages which point to that imperishable. Right? They point to that imperishable. So they say that there is something that is imperishable. Put your desire on it, on that. And when we put it there, then what happens? Two things happen. When we put our desire on this supreme entity, whatever we name we give it, we put our desire. Desire means what? I want to be associated with that in my thought, in my deed, in my actions, in my speech, in my kayena vacha manasendriyerva, in all of this. I want to be associated with that. If I go into that kind of a feeling, then two things happen. One is any other desire that rises within us, material desire. It doesn't mean that material desire will not rise. It will rise because our prarabdha, because of our impressions that we carry, it will rise. But when it rises, you will have absolute clarity. You will have absolute clarity of how to look at this desire. Today, if we don't have that clarity and we think we have to address every desire or we have to go behind each one, that clarity will start dawning upon us. And when that clarity appears like this, you'll be able to see, okay, this desire, okay, maybe I'll go for it. Maybe I'll take it. I'll not take it. I'll work with it. Why? Because that anchor is there. That anchor remains. So this is the first thing that will happen. The clarity of the second thing that will happen, Some desires, as they rise, they will fall. They will just fall. Why? Because somewhere, see, desire is like the seed, vasanas. They're also called as vasanas, right? The reason they're called vasana is because it's like smell, it carries on. Like my amma would say, Perangaya dabba, Perangayam, asafoetida, and the dabbala வந்து you clear off all the perangayam, it's done. You keep that dabba for 10 years, it will still smell perangayam. That vasana will still be there. It's so strong. So
And
this
you put something else in that,
that
that
will
will
also
also turn into that. It'll get that smell.
so like that we are this dabba of vasanas, right? So desires will rise, but because I have made the sankalpa that my mind is going to be on Bhagavan, on my Ishta, then this will slowly drop also. Right? Some desires, those have bothered you earlier, those will rise and it will drop because you fixed your mind here. Don't go based on what people say. People may say 100 things, like the story of the donkey, right? A man and his bag and his donkey. Everybody had something to say. Why is the donkey walking alone? He can put the bag. Then he put the bag. And he said, "Ayo, why is he putting so much weight on the donkey?" Or he's saying that why is he walking besides the donkey? He should ride the donkey. Then he'll sit on the donkey with the bag. Then somebody will say, he's burdening the donkey. And then towards the end, he will carry the donkey. All sorts of things he'll do. He'll not know what to do because somebody is saying something or the other. Our conviction, our resolution, we make. Then he says, Nakshatrani ahoratre parshve. So he says, Hri and Shri, these are your wives, which means I get wealth and I get fulfillment. Then ahoratre parshve, ahaha, which is day and night, are your surroundings. Nakshatrani rupam, ashvino vyattam. Nakshatrani, your form is all these stars. Ashvino Vyattam, which means here in this case it says the sky and the earth both are your the way it's explained is your mouth that is open, Vyattam, the open mouth, but which means you're Sarva Vyapi. That is what means. And then goes Sarv Ishtam Anishana Sarvam Amum. Ishtam Anishana Amum Anishana Sarvam Anishana. So now we experience this whole Purusha as this phenomenal entity that is in all the forms that we perceive. Not just this Devi who's sitting here in front of me, or the gurus, or the Balaji, Tayar, or the Krishna, or the Rama. He is there in that. But this Purusha is Sarvavyapi. Nakshatrani Rupam. Right? Ashvino Vyattam, he is wide as open as this that you perceive, this world that you perceive as. So, with this, he is bringing the Purusha Suktam to a close. Now, what we will do, we'll just take another 3-4 minutes. I want to quickly do a summary of what we saw in terms of the sections I've created here, right? So, we said it's broken into two large parts, Purva Narayana and Uttara Narayana. And it starts with Sahasra Shirsha Purusha. So it gives this great visual grandeur of what Purusha is, with 1,000 eyes and 1,000 legs and 1,000 heads and so on and so forth. This is pretty much the unlimited manifestation. Means what? It is the unmanifest, pretty much the unmanifest. And everywhere that you see is Purusha, his omnipresence, Vishwamayam, transcendence. He is also beyond this. Pado osya vishva bhutani tripadasya amritam divi is only what you perceive. In this, what you perceive, this is Purusha, is not just this. What you think of the Lord is not just that. Lord is beyond this also. Atita. Then he is in the Vyakta and the Avyakta. Right? That which is perceived and that which is not, he is in that. Then he was before creation, because creation happened from him. Sajato Atyarichyata. Creation happened from him. And then he continues to exist in creation. He is as Yat Purushena Havisha Deva Yajnamatanvata Vasanto Asya Sidajyam Grishma Idma Sharadhavihi. He exists in this creation as the seasons, as the various objects, the devatas themselves. He exists as all of that. And then we spoke about Yajna, how Yajna is important to establish this connection with Purusha. Yajna is offering of everything that I am, this identity that I have created myself for, the ego self that has been created. Till that we offer everything. Where? To this Purusha, because the Purusha is the Yajna. Yajnena Yajna. Deva Yadyajnam Tan Vanaha Abadnan Purusham Pashum. The Purusha himself becomes the Pashu of sacrifice. And then we go back to the Bhagavad Gita Shloka, chapter 4, which is Brahmarpanam Brahmavi Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. Right? So everything is a yajna, an offering.
ಇದು ಉಂಡಲಿ ಅಹಂ ವೈಶ್ವಾನರೋ ಭೂತ್ವ
Vaishvanaro Bhutva Pranina
ಪ್ರಾಣೀನಂ ದೇಹಮಾಶ್ರಿತಃ ಪ್ರಾಣಾಪಾನ ಸಮಾಯುಕ್ತ ಪಚಾಮ್ಯನ್ನಂ ಚತುರ್ವಿಧಂ
Pachamanyam Pachamanyam
ಚತುರ್ವಿಧಂ
Chaturvidham.
ಚತುರ್ವಿಧಂ.
So I am in the form of all of this. The digestion is a yajna. Consuming is a yajna. So while we are doing all of this, we keep remembering this. And he becomes Eka Aneka. Tasmaat Yajnat Sarvahutah. From the Yajna, Sarva, everything came out. Sambrudam Prashadajyam. He became what? Everything. Pashugastagascha Kreva Yavyan Haranyan Gramyaschaye. He became everything that you perceive as human life, human civilization, or even cattle, animals, plant, vegetation, everything. Tasmat Yajnat Sarvahutah. Rajasamani Jagire. Tasmat Ashwa. See here the correct. So all of creation comes out of him. And then the Chaturvarnyam. Chaturvarnyam Maya Srishtam. Guna Karma Vibhagashah. Guna Karma Vibhagashah. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. Guna and Karma. Based on Guna and Karma, I have created this Chaturvarnyam. Nothing else. So he talks about this here. The Purusha Sukta Rishi. मुखम किमस्य कौ बाहु ब्राह्मणोस्य मुखमासीत् बाहु राजन्यः कृतः ऊरु तदस्य यद्वैश्यः पद्भ्यां शूद्रो अजायत चंद्रमा मनसो जातः चक्षो सूर्यो अजायत. So here this whole perception you are making, you are internalizing this whole Purusha, you are internalizing it within you. Your mukha, your manas, your breath, your prana, all of that is the Purusha himself. Is operating from within. Then Nabhya Asid Antariksham Shirshno Dyav Samavartata. So then we look at this Purusha around. Same thing, the first shloka. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. So same thing you're seeing here as he is Sarvani Rupani Vichitya Dhiraha. In all forms and names he is present and available. Namani Kritva Abhivadan Yadaste. So he creates all of this and he also maintains it. So it means he is the creator and also continues to be through it. And then again it talks about dharma, the yajna. Yajna is everybody's dharma. If you're consuming, also make sure you're giving. Because only by giving one receives. If you focus on giving, receiving happens on its own. If you only keep consuming, then again we will be born as creatures that only consume. Only as human beings, we have been given the great privilege to give. So we give. Consuming, if it's only about consumption, then you take a lower form. Right? Ishavasya Upanishad, the third verse. Asuryanamate loka andhena tamasavrataha tamste pretyabhigachanti yeke chatmahano janaha. Such people are doing killing of the self. Atma Janaha. Atma Hano Janaha. And then again in the Uttara Narayana, he kind of brings the same idea again, but he says everything comes out of the same Purusha, the Veda, the knowledge, the understanding, and then there is no other way out. Nanyaf panthayanaya vidyate. There is no other way, oh my dear child. There is no other way to attain to him. Go through this. If you understand, the only way to is submit yourself, surrender yourself, give yourself in this process as a yajna. Look at life as a yajna, not as a suffering. There is a difference between yajna and suffering. We see life as a suffering. Life is a tapas. Look at life as a tapasya. If you see life as a tapasya, the outcome is the Purusha, the experience of the Purusha. Yo devebhyo adapati, yo devanaam purohitah. He has been there even before all of this. Yo purvo, yo devebhyo jatah. Everything came out. Namo ruchaya brahmaye. To that Brahman I bow down. And then he says, Hrishchate Lakshmischcha patnyo. Ahoratre parshve. I perceive you as these stars, as this beautiful expanse, this sky, this world. And you are the one who is also giving Hri and Shri. You are giving me Shri, which is wealth, opulence. You are also giving me the fulfillment of that. Ishtam manishana, amum manishana, sarvam manishana. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana Va Prakrite Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayeti Samarpayami Sadashivayeti Samarpayami Jagadambikayeti Samarpayami Sadgurunathayeti Samarpayami Hari Om Tat Sadguru. Let us offer this whole process to the Purusha again as a yajna, right?
Yeah, Guruji. ரொம்ப அப்படியே கண்டென்ஸ் பண்ணி நான் தெரிஞ்சது இப்போ இந்த லாஸ்ட் செஷன்ல தான் ரொம்ப ஸ்வீட்டா சொன்னீங்க. Desire. We have to look to the desire, what kind of a desire it is. Also understand that this desire also originates from that Purusha. Yeah. And to most extent, we have to அந்த ஒரு திருப்தி மனப்பான்மை எந்த டிசைர் ஓகே அது திருப்தி மனப்பான்மை பட்டுட்டோம்னா அடுத்த டிசைர் வராம இருக்கும். ஸோ the most important was நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி what's the desire, what kind of a desire it is, and if you are always connected to the divine, the desire also will be oriented towards it. Very nice, Guruji.
If you are wanting to, like, if you have a lot of joy to want to listen to music and dance and all that, we redirect, we listen to those kinds of music, that kind of dance, that kind of visuals, that kind of, the mind keeps, it's all about tuning the mind.
நேற்றுக்கு நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி தான் content, mind is always at the back of some content, and you feed the right content, then it's focused. Very well true.
Beautiful word is mind is searching for content, not contentment.
Correct. Very nice.
Always wanting
Correct.
content.
Correct.
And in the search of content, what remains is discontent.
Perfectly said. Very nice. Golden words.
Golden words.
Discontent is something that we keep establishing through the seeking of content. So on the content, it's just my play of words there, but I'm just saying it's important to move away from looking at objects, or you see the same divine in all objects. Right? You either withdraw or you fill. This is only
correct.
Right?
Correct. And bring that verse into the mind that Krishna is in everything, everything is in Krishna. So அப்படி பார்க்கும்போது the entire world itself, you'll be desiring only those things.
Correct. So
very nice.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice.
Just a chinna anecdote. I don't know. எடி நீங்க அந்த புருஷத்தை முடிக்க முடிக்க அந்த சன்னும் பின்னாடி வந்து அப்படியே முகம் தேஜஸ் ஆயிடுது என்ன ஒரு
This one, I don't.
Actually, that light is very beautiful.
ஆமா
அப்படியே இது
ஆமா
தே-
இல்ல இல்ல இல்ல
அப்படியே அப்படியே அங்க
இல்ல
முடிக்க
அதுவே
முடிக்க அப்படியே மேல ஏறி
True,
ஏறி
true.
கரெக்டா முடிக்கிறதே இல்ல
இல்ல அஹோராத்திரி மாதிரி இந்த பக்கம் டார்க்கா இருக்கு அந்த பக்கம் லைட்டா வெளிச்சம் இருக்கு ஆமா
Light is
so the Purusha we could see the Purusha.
very good. Thank you, Ellarum. Very, very happy. We will catch up
We
next.
enjoyed very much.
Thank you, Guruji.